Yeah, I'd like to speak to you about tinnitus. Obviously, you'll be aware that it's a rotten condition to have, and I guess I really just wanted to say that you will defeat it um, without drugs and therapy and anything else really that's available that often people try to sell to tinnitus sufferers. I had it myself. It was measured at 30 decibels, which is about the. It was a high-pitched, continuous tone. 30 decibels is about the volume of speech, and you know, I sympathise. The fact that you're trawling the net and that you've clicked onto this is an indication. But I had a very miserable time, but I did learn to cope with it. I'd had 32 infusions in an attempt to revitalise those cells that they suspect. They suspect that dead cells, one of those, or some of those 10,000 cells behind the eardrum, in the inner ear, they suspect that that's the cause, but they're not sure. Regardless of what specialists tell you, they're not sure of the cause. Insofar as it doesn't really even help to have your nerves, your hearing simply disconnected. There have been people that have been in absolute in extremis that have had their ears capped. I'm not sure of the phrase really. Truncated. In an attempt to stop the noise, but it's not generated. Well, they're not sure where it's generated, but it appears to be generated in the brain. But anyhow, I purely just wanted really to just briefly explain how I overcame it. I gave up with doctors. I did, of course, at the beginning, try to do it the conventional way, and it didn't work, as it appears rarely to work. I tried. I couldn't sleep at all. That's really was the most difficult thing for me, is that during the day I was able to do practically everything that I could normally do, but of a night time I'd go to bed and that bloody noise it was so penetrating, I just simply couldn't sleep, and I would finally, through sheer exhaustion, drop off for about half an hour or an hour, and then wake up again, and I'd sort of have night sweats and nervousness, and I would describe my condition as I was absolutely on the edge. So I listened to. I thought that what I might be able to do is to mask the noise by listening to something else, and I tried the sound of thunder and lightning and rain and running water. But what I did find helped the most was I had a tiny transistor radio that I tuned to white noise, which is the noise that you hear between stations, and I had that on, and I found that it was more comfortable to listen to that. That was more comfortable than listening to that high-pitched tone, and slowly, over time, I'm talking about now a couple of years. I'm very sorry to have to say that it takes that long to learn to live with it, but that's how long it took me. But I slowly reduced the volume, And once I started to have several hours sleep at a time, I started to become more relaxed, and I started to learn to cope with the noise. But it has never gone. I don't suppose it ever will. But this message, really, this message of hope, is that you know, don't give up. Don't waste vast amounts of energy, possibly even money, looking for a cure, because there isn't one, other than the fact that you will learn to cope with it, and it becomes like I compare it to the sound of a clock that ticks away in the background, and often we're not aware of the clock that's ticking until suddenly we hear it, and then we realise that it's been ticking away for the last couple of hours, but we haven't heard it. And that's because or perhaps a radio that's on in the background. We're blissfully unaware of the noise it's generating until we hear a key phrase or a few words and our ears prick up. And we then become aware that the thing has been on in the background once again for a couple of hours, or people talking in the background. It happens all the time in everyday life that our mind, our brain, filters out extraneous noise. And there does come a time, you might not believe me, if you're in the position, or if you're in the condition that I was in a couple of years ago, you won't believe it, and you'll think that I'm possibly making it up or a bit potty or something. But that's not the fact. You will, your brain or mind, it will filter out the tinnitus. It hears it continuously, 24 hours a day. And there comes a point when your brain no longer recognises it. And for me to hear mine, I haven't heard it, for example, all the while I've been talking to you, or actually talking to my camera, which is a bit peculiar. But anyway, it's all in a good cause. All the while I've been talking to you, I haven't been aware of, it hasn't been in the least bit noticeable. But now that if I listen for it, of course it's there. And that's the happy, I suppose, the happy position that I've now arrived at, is that it's there, it won't go away, but I can live with it. And it's just like, as I previously compared it to the sound of the ticking of a clock, or etc. That's how it is for me. I'm hardly aware of it most of the time, and I can even play with it really as a sort of a. Anyway, that's all a bit daft. But you will learn to live with it, and you know, my very best wishes, because it is a beastly, unpleasant business. That you will. That's the best thing. I did at its very worst. I did take some lorazepam tranquilizers, because as I previously mentioned, I was absolutely at my wit's end, and that gave me a couple of nights. Broken, a good few hours in one block of sleep, and I think that that gave me an opportunity, or it gave my mind. I gave my mind an opportunity to recover slightly from months of sleeplessness, and from then on, I think it was the tinnitus was in retreat, and it improved. The condition improved increasingly, or my ability to cope with the condition improved. Yeah, but I did need. I say don't look for alternate, a cure. However, a couple of sleeping pills did help me. I didn't take them for very long because I was concerned about their addictive qualities. But that did help me. I desperately needed to sleep. Yeah. Good. But anyway, as you see now, I'm perfectly okay. As you will be. Just hang in there and just try to relax. And you will get there. Good. Goodbye.